So right now you want to stack cash. In recessions, you want cash on hand.
This episode is sponsored by
Anthony Napolitano.
Welcome to Livestream with Dr. Alex Plains. I'm your host with my co-host Jeremy, and we have an amazing guest today, Anthony Napolitano. Welcome.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Hey, how's it going? What's going on?
I'm good. I'm good.
Man, I can't believe you're here today.
I know, it's crazy.
It's gonna be fun.
This guy's always traveling. I don't know how much did I have to pay you to get you here today?
I love just sitting down talking. I can do this all day long.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you here today, and we're really excited to hear about everything. So, Anthony, tell us a little bit more about your history and how you got into the crypto space.
Yeah, so I got involved in entrepreneurship heavy when I was 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
And, at the time I was a full-time college student athlete, really going to school for my baseball career. Sports was my life.
You were a pitcher or?
Yeah, so
pitcher.
Nice.
I was a lefty, right? Lefty, so.
I'm a lefty too.
Southpaw.
Yeah,
I'm a lefty too.
Yeah, so pitching, and in high school it was like every other game, pitch, center field, and then college was pitch, right?
Okay.
That was it. And I had the dream, of course, becoming a professional athlete. And you guys know South Florida,
Yes.
it doesn't stop.
Of course.
Right? It's summer all year long, so sports don't stop. We don't have seasons like other places. So that was my life. And in college, my freshman year, a guy came up to me, and I met him on the campus, was a cool guy. And he's like, man, I think we can make some money together. Literally that.
You guys just build a connection.
Built a connection, built a friendship, and then one day he just comes up to me. He's like, yo, I think we can make some money together. That's it. And long story short, he introduced me to marketing, like online sales, stuff
What do
like
you think What do you think to the young entrepreneurs? Because how old are you now, if you don't mind me saying?
27.
27.
And you just told me you've been to over 50 countries.
Yes, over 50 countries I've spoken on stages in.
Wow, amazing. So what do you think he saw in you? What do you think that? What advice would you give to these young entrepreneurs that want to get to the level that you're at?
So I think he saw ambition.
Okay.
Consistency with like the stuff that I was doing. If it came to sports, like working out, just like the daily routine, right? He saw
You
the
were
routine,
disciplined.
very militant in my routine, right?
Yeah.
And he saw that, and then he also saw like, hey, this guy's hungry.
Of
This
course.
guy's hungry, and that's really all you need to be successful, right? People make it so complicated. Like, how are you gonna be successful in life? Well, you got to be willing to work, right?
That's right. You got to be hungry. I love that
Yeah,
word. That's a word that I'm always saying.
Yeah.
Because Jeremy's like, what keeps you going? And I'm like, I'm just hungry, man. I just want to get to the next level. And at some point, it's not even about the money anymore, right? It's just about your purpose and what you're trying to
your
accomplish.
passion, your crusade, like what you're doing. Like, multi-billionaires don't need to start more businesses, but they do because they love the game. It's more so
Exactly.
about the game than the money at that point.
And if you were to have to give us, our listeners, a rough estimate, how many lives you think you've changed since you started this business and investing?
Let's go.
It's a lot, yeah. So,
Lives that you've impacted.
yeah.
I mean, you've impacted my life,
Of course,
my wife's
hundreds
life.
of thousands.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe getting close to 1 million.
Wow.
Hundreds of thousands very easily. That's safe
Yeah.
to say, right? But probably getting close to 1 million, and like you said, over 50 plus. So globally, many different languages, markets, different lifestyles.
What country have you not been to that you want to go to?
That's a good question. More so in Asia. Go to
Okay.
the Asian markets more. I've been to Africa.
Okay.
South Africa is
South
actually a
Africa's
beautiful,
beautiful.
beautiful country. Cape Town, that area, gorgeous. I've been all over South America, Latin America, North America, of course. I've been all over Europe. I go to Europe a lot. I'm actually going back to the UK in like 2 weeks. So
Okay.
go to London a lot. All those, Paris, all that
course.
stuff. But I would say Asia. I haven't really
Asia.
done too much in Asia
Or
yet.
Japan.
Yeah, Japan more so, and do different places in China and different countries around there in Asia.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When I met Anthony back in ending of 2017, I remember you invited me over to your house. I had more of a connection with your father, Tony, great guy, and his mom, Anne Marie. And he's like, come over, I got to show you a little bit about crypto. And no one was talking about crypto. I was always investing in prototypical stock market index funds. And then he's like, you got to buy this coin, Ethereum. I think Ethereum at that point was like $40.
Yeah.
And I think at that age you were like 20, 21 years old. I mean,
very young.
Yeah, so I was like, are you sure, man? He's like, yeah, you got to do it. And I mean, Ethereum hit an all-time high of what, 4,600?
4,800.
4,800.
Yeah.
So
Almost $5,000. Yeah.
So at that age, I was 32, I believe, at that age, and I was getting advice from a 20-year-old telling me to buy this crypto. And luckily, I bought it. I made some money out of it, but I sold too early, unfortunately. But if I would have listened and hold it on the long term like he advised, I would have made a lot of money.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy with technology and this new innovation, this new world. It's a foreign language, especially to investors that have been doing it for a long time. This is something new. It's not their comfort zone, so it's a transition.
Of course, but what's great is like my Bank of America financial wealth advisor years ago was telling me, don't invest in crypto, don't invest it, don't do it. Now he's like, you should put 10%, 15% into crypto. That's a smart thing to do. But what do you think about what's happening right now in the whole world, actually?
Yeah, so the economy is very interesting. And I would say a lot of it had to do with the money printing. You know what I mean? During the pandemic. Don't say that word on your podcast. They'll block our podcast. Yeah. During the pandemic, right? But during the pandemic, the printing of money, we printed about 40% of all U.S. dollars in less than 3 years.
Trillions.
40% of all supply in about 3 years. That's crazy.
It
40%.
is.
You got, we've been a country for a very long time, and you think 40% of all the money, all the U.S. dollars in the world came in a 3-year clip? That's crazy.
So this correction is normal.
Yeah, so what's going on now is the Fed's going to try to raise rates to fight against inflation.
Yep.
And that's what they're going to do, and everything that's pegged against the dollar is going to suffer.
Okay.
So we've already seen equities suffering. We've seen crypto suffering. We haven't seen real estate, but trust me, it's coming.
It's coming.
Okay, it's coming. It's down the pipeline. I actually just sold a couple more properties last week. Got out of there real quick, right?
Nice.
Got out of there real quick before that thing comes down. But at the end of the day, everything that's pegged against the dollar will go down in value because the dollar will strengthen. That's their goal. That's what they're going to try to do. We'll see how it's going to work. They've never printed like they printed before, so we'll see how it comes together. But historically, always assets go up in value. Like,
Correct.
for example, we could use Bitcoin as an example. Historically, it always goes up. You look at the S&P 500, the Dow, they're always going to go up. Why? Because they're pegged against the dollar, and the dollar is always depreciating. So whatever asset's pegged against the dollar, it's always going to go up. Of course, you got to hope, though, that it's going up more than the dollar is depreciating. Because a lot of people don't think that, I made 3% this year on my thing, or 5%. Yeah. Well, if we depreciated 10%, it doesn't matter that you made 5%, right? Yeah. So you have to look at that as well. But things have always gone up, but now you're going to kind of see a little reversal. And I don't think it's forever, right? They're going to probably try to hit us harder. I think the next rate raise is probably going to be similar to the last one. They're going to try to get this inflation under control. That's really all they can do.
So you hear Robert Kiyosaki, Mark Cuban always talk about they make more of their money during recessions. So if you had to give some advice to us and our listeners about what do you think the game plan should be?
Yeah, cash is king.
Cash is king.
So right now you want to stack cash. In recessions, you want cash on hand. So get liquid from a lot of things. Like if you have real estate right now, unload those properties. They're going to be worth half probably a couple of years from now. That's just the reality of it. That's how these markets go. Everything's in cycles, right? So unload stuff that, is still in big profit. Get cash on hand and then, buy things very cheap.
So you're thinking a drop of like 50%?
Historically?
Even in Florida?
I think most areas, yeah. So Florida's probably going to do better than certain markets, right? So many people from the Northeast. And there's political reasons why, tax reasons why. There's a lot of reasons why people are moving to Florida specifically. But I would say across the board, and maybe not 50, right? It could be 20, 30, 40. But there's going to definitely be a decrease, a correction. Yeah, and that's just going to happen, and it's very naturally to do. But you want to have dollars. Dollars is key right now because, Bitcoin goes to 10 grand, probably want to buy some.
What do you think is going to be the baseline, the bottom for Bitcoin?
I think 10 to 15.
10 to 15?
Yeah, so 85% retracement would be like $10,300 from like 69,000. It's like somewhere in that range if you do the 85%. That's what it's always historically done, in that range from bull market high to bear market low. And it doesn't stay down there. It's typically like a wick, like a one-day thing. Yeah,
really quickly.
Really one thing, and then it comes back up and maybe float around 15, 20 for a while. I think we get the bottom of the crypto market probably sometime around November.
What do you think about Tesla and Bitcoin?
So that's interesting. They sold, 75%.
Yeah, 75%.
But they made money on it prior, the year before, so they took profits off the table, and then they pretty much exited at like a break even. So I think a lot of that's influenced by the board of the company. I don't think Elon's going to get the board pissed off at him because they'll be like, Elon, you got to go, buddy. He was like the CEO of PayPal for like 10 minutes. Wow. When they made that merger back in the day, he got on some flight to Australia. The board voted his ass out. So like, this guy ain't going to be the CEO of the board. I don't think he wants to not be the CEO, so he's going to abide, be safe, conservative, right? You know, you're leading a massive public company, so he's got a lot of pressure on him from that. I think if it was just him, he'd just ride it out. Like,
he'll just do it.
Next cycle, whatever, we'll make it back. But, you know, he's got to abide by the shareholders.
You think he's as invested in crypto as he says he is, or you think he just does it to pump and dump?
I think he's invested.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. I think he's been invested a very long time because he's been in this tech world. You know, he's a very smart guy.
That's true.
X.com was that company he initially started that merged, and then it became PayPal, right? That was what PayPal was. And X.com, the goal was to create a decentralized currency.
Wow.
And it's kind of crazy, conspiracy theories.
Yes.
Like, their whole mission is what Bitcoin is, and that was, like, way before Bitcoin. So a lot of conspiracy theories there of who might have created it. Because, you know, Bitcoin, the founder of, or the creator, he, she, it, whatever it was, it's anonymous.
It's anonymous.
So
no one knows exactly where they're located.
Too.
Yeah, I mean, so tell everyone what exactly you do. Like, if they wanted to reach out to you, what type of stuff can you help them out?
Yeah, so online marketing, selling products, building massive sales organizations. Got really, really good at that. I build a massive sales organization with a financial education company right now called iGenius, and we're growing a massive distribution model. It's actually owned by a publicly traded company, so we're building out the marketing side of things, where basically the public company could always add services for us to sell, right?
Awesome.
And we have a distribution network with thousands of people.
So, like, I'm one of your clients, so automatic trading services.
Yeah, so we give access to some services. We also work with third-party vendors. We're like, hey, you bring your service to our members, and we kind of have like a monthly subscription model, very similar like a Netflix or an Amazon. And people pay a monthly subscription to get access to it, to the platform. And we are very affordable, like $99 or $175 a month. It's like very affordable for the average American, and especially when you're talking about like financial technologies, financial education. Seminars cost $20,000 for 3 days.
Oh yeah,
it's a big business. So we give it to the average person. Our goal is to be like the Netflix or the Amazon of that space, kind of like the Walmart, right? In a sense of like, we're not trying to make a lot of money off a few people. We're trying to make a little off a lot.
Yeah,
that's.
Are you still doing the crypto mining?
Yeah, so we do a lot of stuff. We don't offer that to retail customers, but I'm in that space in the sense of we have the business, a big business. We have facilities in Iceland, Texas, where we do the Bitcoin mining operations, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. I think that's important because, like, the general person doesn't really understand, like, crypto and all that stuff that's going on. And I think it's important to get that out there, and nobody's talking about that.
Yeah, the education is very, very weak.
Yeah.
In the sense of, like, we see all these people, these retail customers getting into the financial markets, right? You see, like, the Robinhoods, the Acorns, these types of investing platforms that people can use. And it's unique because the world has changed dramatically in the financial sector, okay? For example, you wanted to trade options, trading options. Five years ago, minimum to start, probably $10,000. Let's be real right here. If you're really going to trade options, right? 3 out of 4 Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
Does the average American have 10 grand? They're like, hey, let's just play around today. They don't.
Yeah.
So what these micro investing apps did, well, you could buy fractions. Okay, well, you could start trading
That's
ETFs.
like Robinhood, for example.
Yes, that's what they did. That business model completely changed the world when it comes to investing because you have retail people investing, which it was just the wealthy of the wealthy in the society prior. And also like crypto, Forex, these are markets where you don't have to have as much capital.
Of course.
You could play with a small amount of money, and that's getting more and more people.
And get higher returns, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, who wouldn't want to put $50 down? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what we see. It's not, it's crazy. We saw like the GameStop thing. We see like a short squeeze set up, and I've been a part of like short squeezes and trading and all this. It's like this retail craze. Like we have never seen that before.
It's insane, right?
Yep.
It's a massive thing, and I'm gonna say I appreciate you and everybody like you that values education with the general public because, I mean, we had an episode before and I was amazed about how all this stuff works out. So
yeah, education's the key to life, right? We always say the more skills you have, typically the more money you make. That's how the world works, and a lot of people lack education, and a lot of the education that you need to make money, it's not taught to the average person.
That's correct.
And it's purposely not taught to the average person. So we're trying to like create a vehicle where people can get access. We do live trading for stocks, Forex,
No kidding.
cryptocurrency, live trading sessions. We do live trading in 11 languages.
Wow.
Holy cow.
We've got professional traders that work all over the world for our company. We have a full suite of videos, 1,000+ videos, basic, intermediate, advanced courses for all markets. We do trade alerts. We have 30 traders that work all day long just looking at charts, looking for opportunities to make money. We have these partnerships with these third-party companies to offer softwares. We've done a lot.
Everything.
We've built this whole model out. It's pretty unique.
It is
pretty
unique.
So do you agree with Kathy Woods, Bitcoin 250?
250,000 of Bitcoin? Yeah, eventually for sure. Yeah. So we'll see how fast it goes. What actually happened last year sped up this Bitcoin process. So having the printing of money, while they were like not trying to pull things back, while the rates were still low, you saw Bitcoin explode. And you know, we went up to about $70,000 a coin. 69,000 is where we topped out at. That's what happened. But, you know, technically cryptocurrencies should not be correlated to equities. They shouldn't be correlated to traditional markets because the whole purpose of Bitcoin was to go against. That's the whole purpose of it. But it is all trading the same right now because there's not enough money in it, and the big money is tied to both aspects. So the big money's in equities, the big money's also in crypto, right? The same money. So as the equities market goes down, crypto markets go. It's very correlated right now, but I think over time it will decouple, and it will trade separately because Bitcoin is a fight against inflation. Bitcoin's a cool concept in the sense of the max supply is 21 million. It does inflate every single day currently through mining, but eventually there's a max supply of 21 million. There's no asset in the world that we know of that has a max supply. The U.S. dollar doesn't have a max supply. It prints whenever they want to print.
Exactly.
If we want to go print, let's go print some money today, right? Like, let's go turn on the machine. Let's go do this thing, right?
Let's do another 40%.
That's what they do, right? And then, like, we see commodities as things that are scarce. We've always looked at commodities, gold, silver, right? We look at those. But the issue with that is we actually don't really know. We don't. Because, for example, like Elon Musk says, there's a ton of gold in space. I'm going to bring it all back to the U.S. What if this guy brings all this gold to the U.S.? What would it do to the price of gold? It would destroy it, right? So we don't actually know. We don't believe there's unlimited supply, and gold's been like this asset for years because, more people are born every single day. It's a limited supply. The demand will always go up, and that's why gold slowly but surely goes up. Gold hasn't been rising rapidly, but it's very consistent. It holds its value, okay? The Bitcoin concept is it's 21 million. That's it. And that is that supply and demand. And that's all economics is supply and demand. We overcomplicate it. We make it confusing. Hey, if there's a limited supply of something and a lot of people want it, what happens to the price?
It jacks up. It goes up. So, you know, I don't know if you've seen that movie about the 2008, 2009 recession. And the guy that predicted it says that water is going to be the most wanted commodity.
It makes sense. We need it to live. So at the end of the day, anything that's scarce and you're going to have, you know, more people, and that's like something we all need, right? You need that to live. So you got more people, anything that's related to that. And I think we're going to have a lot of things as the world evolves over time.
Let me ask you a question. I personally, and I personally think Ethereum is a better coin, personally myself, just because of the speed of the transaction.
It's got a lot more use case,
It
for
has a lot
sure.
more.
With the smart contracts, you know, NFTs, DeFi, all this stuff was built on Ethereum. If there was no Ethereum, you don't have any of these other industries. All of that came from Ethereum.
But there's no limit to Ethereum.
There's endless potential, and they got to scale their network. They do have to scale their network, and this year they have a lot of things coming with Ethereum 2.0, the start of it. It's going to take years to fully implement all their ideas.
What does that mean, Ethereum 2.0?
So it's going from proof of work, where mining machines, kind of like Bitcoin, there's these supercomputers that help validate transactions to get pieces of coin on a daily basis, kind of like the operations we have. But there's also, Ethereum's changing the model to go to proof of stake. So basically, it's validator nodes. So by people holding coin, to run a validator node, you're going to have 32 Ethereum to do that. But a lot of exchanges will say, okay, hey, give us your 1 Ethereum, and instead of getting 5% a year on your money, we'll give you 2%, and they'll keep the money because they'll just pool it all together.
Gotcha.
That's what they'll strategically do, and it'll be a great business for Coinbase and all these guys. They'll make some money off of that idea, right?
Absolutely.
Hey, who wants to get paid? We're giving ideas right here. Okay?
Everybody's making money.
right.
Everyone's making money.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, but they'll do that. But going to proof of stake, you'll be able to get yield. And also Ethereum right now, it inflates about 4.3% a year, okay? It inflates with new coin being produced, and there's actually not a max supply of Ethereum, okay? By going from proof of work to proof of stake, it's going to inflate 10 times less.
Wow.
So think about that. So your coin becomes more scarce, supply and demand,
Supply
bringing
and
it back
demand.
to that, right?
Yeah.
And the network will also be able to produce you a yield just by holding the asset,
Wow.
which is also very cool because, it's kind of like a dividend in a stock
Yeah.
world in a sense, like, so you could kind of understand the concept. But you'll by holding the coin, you'll literally get coin paid to you, which is
So,
pretty cool.
so to the average investor, why would you invest in crypto, or would you do crypto, stocks, and real estate?
Yeah, so I think diversification is key to wealth,
Diversification.
right? Anything could happen in any industry, so you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket, no matter what. I think if you're going to be a smart investor, spread it out.
Okay.
Spread it out, because if you're worth millions and millions of dollars, let's just say, for example, you can never lose if you spread it out.
So if you're investing and you, let's say, make $100,000 a year, what percentage of that money would you put into the market in general?
Yeah, so of course, not financial advice. I'm not a
Yes.
licensed financial advisor by any means, but let's say you make $100,000 a year. Out of that $100,000 a year, how much do you think they really have to play with at the end of the day?
You're going to lose around 20% of that
Okay,
to the IRS.
yeah, so let's just say after bills, how much you think they really got? If you had to predict. So probably not too much, right? If they make $100,000 a year, let's just say your cost of living,
Yeah.
okay, maybe 60, 50, 60. You don't really have much to play with $100,000 a year in our world
5 or
today.
10,000.
5 or 10,000
Yeah,
bucks.
that's what I
Yeah, exactly. That's probably a good example. I would say you spread it out into multiple things. Hey, maybe a couple $1,000 in Ethereum a year, maybe a couple thousand into this a year, maybe a couple thousand into that a year. You could start in real estate, as you know, with not a ton of money. It's going to take you a little capital to start, for sure, to have the down payment of the home. But if you got renters in there that are paying your mortgage for you,
Yeah.
you could be creative. We hear these stories of all these different entrepreneurs and how they started. Like, I started with $200.
That's right.
Yep.
That's what I was going to get at.
And it's like you don't need a ton of money, but you have to have willpower. And
Yes.
You got to have a vision, and you got to be willing to do something. You don't need a ton. And I think that's where a lot of people confuse themselves, because a lot of people go, I don't have the money to invest.
That's correct. That's
Well, you're never
exactly
going to have
what I
the
was
money to
gonna say.
invest with that attitude. So it's like nothing's ever going to change.
But yet you're consumed $300 at the mall.
Yeah,
in
yeah,
seconds.
it's like go buy the $300 sneakers, but I can't buy no Ethereum today.
Exactly.
Okay, like that's just your priorities, bro.
Yeah,
like
like-
that's the reality of it.
I think that goes back to education.
Yeah,
You know?
100%. Education's everything. Like, I personally, I don't like buying clothes. I don't like buying shoes. I like cars a little bit. We both kind of like cars a little bit. But I like cars, but like at the end of the day, I rather put my money into investments. It makes me actually happy. Like when I buy more Ethereum.
Yes.
I look at my Ethereum, I got a lot of Ethereum, man. I got a lot of Bitcoin. Like I got a lot of Polkadot, right?
Yeah.
I have a lot of Cardano. Like I like looking at that. I have a lot of, Apple stock or whatever, Amazon stock. Like, I like to see that more so than
Go buy a pair of sneakers.
Yeah, to buy a pair of sneakers that is just going to become worth
Yeah.
less over time. It's got no real value.
Yep.
So.
That's great advice. That's exactly what I was going to say. So basically, you can invest with as easy as $100.
Yep. Yeah, you got to start somewhere, right?
I
Start somewhere.
I
build it up.
remember when I started investing, I had to get the newspaper, and I used to use a portfolio called sharebuilder.com, and I bought Oracle. $300 I put in Oracle at the age of 13, 14 years old.
Wow.
If I would have stayed with that Oracle, I calculated it was around, it's not a lot of money, but it's around $3,500 right now.
Yeah.
And $300.
$300. It's crazy. Yeah. If the key to investing, or the key to having success when it comes to anything, right, is to be able to see it before it happens. And I can tell you most people can't see it before it happens. They live in the present. I can tell you the reason I've had success is I'm always living in the future. I don't care what's happened in the past. I don't care what's happening today. I'm looking 5, 10 years from now.
Can you say that one more time?
So I don't care what's happened in the past. I don't care what's happening today. I'm looking 5 to 10 years from now.
Okay.
And that's the mindset I've always had. It's like people always are like, oh, you've had so much success in business. I'm like, I don't see it. Like I'm just doing it every day. I'm not like reflecting on anything. It's like I'm in the prime of my life. I'm 27 years old. I'm just building businesses. This is what I do. And I can tell you that I'm always looking forward. And
That's
by
right.
doing that with that mentality, I've had a lot of success.
That's right. So you're throwing it out to the atmosphere.
Yeah.
You're manifesting.
Manifesting it and
Yeah.
like seeing it. Like I already know this is going to be here 5 years from now. Where the other person's like, oh, I don't know. Right? I already know.
Flip a coin.
Yeah, flip a coin. Exactly.
That's amazing, man. This guy is the proof of it. You're the proof.
I enjoy it. It's fun.
We can tell.
Yeah.
We
So
can
what
tell.
are your plans now?
Plans now, like I said, this was actually the first year in my life I ever sold real estate. First year.
You were selling real estate.
Like,
Sold your real estate.
Sold my real estate.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this is the first time ever. So I've just been accumulating since I think I bought my first property at 20 years old. And I've just been accumulating, like, hey, investment, whatever. This is the first time I sold properties. because I was like, okay, market's at a high.
Yeah.
It's going to come down. I could buy the same properties for, pennies on the dollar a couple years from now, right? Because everything goes in cycles. I can tell you right now, investing, like I said, the goal right now wouldn't honestly be to invest into things because I still think we go lower. I think the goal right now is to stack your cash. So if you got businesses right now, put as much money in the bank as possible so then you could buy these assets at a very cheap price. You could buy real estate cheap. You could buy crypto cheap. You could buy stocks cheap. You can buy these things cheap, let's just say 6 to 12 months from now, if you put away enough capital.
That's beautiful. So as a young leader, what message would you give as people trying to develop their teams and create that engagement and that culture? You're always very positive, very vibrant. You walk into a room, everybody wants to talk to you.
One of my business partners literally said that same thing to me. He's like, Ant, you don't care the situation. Like, it could be the worst thing in the world that happens. You always find a positive outcome to it.
Yes.
And I'm like, yeah.
You've always been that way?
I've always, yeah. It's like, winners are problem solvers, right? The best entrepreneurs solve the biggest problems.
Yes.
When you don't make a lot of money, it's because you can't solve any problems. Like, you got to be able to solve problems. So I always look for solutions, not problems. I don't complain. I'm like, okay, this happened. Let's do this. Let's get it done today. So I'm very quick to act, but I always, have a positive mentality to it. And I think the positivity is key to your success.
And I think that's well said because it's so easy for negativity to take over. I mean, that's like, it's hard to stay positive.
Yeah,
even when you have rough days.
There's so much stuff in life, right?
Yeah.
There's so many things that happen on a daily basis in your personal life,
Yeah.
your business life. There's just so many things, and it could deter you. Like, I see it all the time with some of my business partners. I have thousands of business partners, so I see a lot of different personalities, and I can tell you understanding people is everything.
Yep.
If you're going to be successful in business, you got to understand people.
You got to be able to build strong relationships.
Yep, that's everything. And it's like people make it so much more confusing than it actually is. Like, let's say you have this technology, the greatest technology in the world. Let's say it's a computer chip or something. Doesn't matter that it's a computer chip. I'm dealing with a human to make a deal. So,
right.
like, if I understand people,
Can we drop
I can
the
make
mic
the
right
sale,
now,
right?
please?
Like, that's how it works.
Yeah.
So if you understand people, you could have a lot of success. And I can tell you, the wealthiest people I know, they're not great at anything, except one thing:
People.
people. They could build
Yes, sir.
connections. They know how to network
Yes.
extremely well. Like, I know guys that are worth godly amounts of money. And they're like, Ant, you're better at, like, everything. Operations, thought, like, you're so good, but guess what I'm really, really good at? If I got this thing going on, I have a relationship that can solve that problem, or I can, bring this person into my business because my network is so massive. And they're just great at connecting dots. And I like to say they put people in the right seats
Yep.
to
They
have
know how to
success.
do that.
They know how to do that very, very well.
Yeah, I'm currently always thinking like, I don't believe there's toxic employees and whatnot,
course.
but there's some employees that they're just not in the right seats.
Yes, you got to put the people in the right seats for what they bring to the operation.
And you just got to shift them around till you figure out you know how to sell. So this is where you're going.
And identifying them. You have to have the
Identifying.
skill at identifying, like, oh, this person's great at this. Let's put them here
Exactly.
because this is what they're going to be great at for this business.
Exactly. You were going to say something?
Yeah, I think that's important. I think that, from your standpoint, how do you identify, like, oh, shoot, I brought that person in the wrong role? So how long of a time do you think it takes for that?
Yeah, so I think it's really going to depend how much you work with that person on a day-to-day basis. Because, like, if you got an operation, let's say you own Walmart, right? And you got 2.2 million people going to work for you every single day. It's the CEO. You ain't going to have those
No, you're not
connections,
gonna
right?
What's your name again?
But there's people down the line that are going to, try to have those things going on.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, if you work with someone hand in hand, you can look at their activity. I never care about what someone says. I care about what they do. Okay? It's always about the actions more than the words because everyone talks.
Yes.
Trust me, I run sales organizations. Every guy thinks he's the best salesman. Oh, I'm going to bring in this many sales. Okay, buddy, let's see it, buddy. They always get excited about, like, what they're going to do, right? I'm just like, show me.
Yeah.
Show me. Let's see your activity on a day-to-day basis. So I think your activity on a day-to-day basis, that's how you identify. And you got to be very smart with who you give your time to. That's another big thing.
That's an interesting.
Because a lot of us, we give our time to people that we want to help, but not actually people that deserve our help. Does that make sense?
Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, so we give our time to people that we want to help because, like, we feel bad for them.
You want to help
But we sometimes lack the energy and, the time to the people that are actually doing the work that deserve. We should actually be putting more time with the person that deserves it, not the person that needs it.
That is powerful.
That's deep.
Yeah, that's very important in business, and I see it all the time, and I've done it in the past. Of course, I feel bad for someone, and I'm like, Because we're all human, right? We're emotional. We have these things. Like,
Compassion.
I see someone, I'm like, man, I want to help this guy or help this girl. And then sometimes I'm losing focus. Like, yo, this sales guy's working his butt off. He deserves me to be really with him because he's the one bringing in the revenue. He's the one doing the thing that he should be doing.
Yeah. Wow.
And how do you stay, through ups and downs? I know we all try to stay positive. How do you handle those ups and downs when, you lose a sales rep that's very crucial to you? What do you do?
Yeah, so it's emotional intelligence. And I can tell you, most people in life, this is the reason they'll never have success. They get too high or too low all the time. Professional athletes, the best in the world, they lose a game. Hey, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
They don't care, right? The average person, something bad happens, I can't do it. I'm not going to try no more. I stink, right? Like, they completely destroy themselves, and they stop taking the activity. The only way you have success in the world is consistency, and it's compounding effort. Because you're not going to be good at something your first day. Like, you go shoot a basketball the first time, you're not going to be good at shooting the basketball, okay? Nope. You shoot 1,000 shots a day for a year. A year from now, when we come back, you're probably going to be a little better at shooting basketball, right? That's the reality of it. Right. So it's consistency and compounding effort, but most people won't be consistent enough to compound the effort to get the result because they get too high or they get too low.
Yep.
That's what it is. Me, for example, like I told you guys, I have this 5, 10, 20-year outlook on life. I'm not looking at today. So let's say I stink today at the business. I have a bad result today. I'm still going to go do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
See, the average person, they have a bad result. They make a mistake. Something doesn't work out. Hey, we're done. Moving on to the next thing. The only way you're going to have success is doing it for a long time.
That's right. So in our company, I just started, a year ago, we started something called the Personal, Professional, and Financial Goals, right? Mm-hmm. And it's 1, 3, 5 years. And what can you say about most of the intake that you get from those?
I think it's been a really positive situation for our team members because, we're helping them hold themselves accountable. You know what I mean? I think that's what people miss. Like, they make all these excuses, self-excuse, and they're like, well, shit, you know what? It's time for me to get off the pot and start doing this stuff. And I think that's, what the direction we went with that. It was, and these are guys like, they feel like value and they feel like, as a leader of the organization, you care about them, and that's important as well because they want to feel that value.
That's absolutely right. Most people, like you said, are so worried about the past.
Oh, always thinking about the past.
And the present, they're worried about the past, but they're never thinking about the future. Like, you use the S&P 500, for example. Everyone's like, oh, the market's down right now, but 10 years from now,
where's it going to be?
Where's it going to be, right? And, I've learned how to see more towards the future doing that, like reading, looking at charts, graphs, and I'm sure you do the same because it's very easy to give up now that Bitcoin's down, Ethereum is down. I'm not selling. I'm buying more.
The greatest time is when things are down, right? And it's so funny when it comes to like financial markets, and we see it with crypto because it's such a retail game initially. Now you could see it slowly becoming an institutional game, right? Because they'll take control of everything, but it starts as this retail game. What do the institutions do? They scare all the retail out. They take control. That's how they do it. It's hedging your bet. If I'm Bank of America, if I'm J.P. Morgan, whatever the case may be, why not have a piece of this? Yeah. Why would we're the biggest in the world. We're the biggest and the baddest at what we do. What's the risk if we put 5% of our portfolio into that? There's no risk at all.
None, zero.
None at all. So it's a smart thing to do. Well, let's take no risk, and then they wipe us out, and that industry becomes the biggest thing in the world. Correct. That would be a very bad decision. So you got to use risk to reward, right? Exactly. Risk management. It's very smart. But I could just tell you, like, what you're saying in the sense of right now, when people aren't talking about it is when you want to do it. But the same people that are going to say, oh, Bitcoin's not real, not legit, not going to work, whatever, right? These people, same people, when it's at $20,000 today, they'll be the same people buying it at $80,000 in a year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now.
I know you always tell me that.
It always is. And it's the same thing every time. Like, I know people right now that won't invest because they're so scared because the price is so low, but then they'll go buy it at the high, the all-time high, which is like,
what is your concept of?
What are you doing?
What is your concept of fear and being scared?
Yeah. So as an investor, we always say, buy the fear, sell the greed. Right? Buy the fear, sell the greed. When everyone's fearful, that's when you should be buying. When everyone's greedy, you should be selling.
That's right.
When you see Elon Musk go buy Bitcoin, you probably should have sold that day.
You should have sold that day.
Yeah. You probably should have sold when you saw Coinbase IPO. And, Bitcoin made its all-time high the same day Coinbase IPO'd. Pretty interesting.
That's great that you talk about the IPO market. So I was going to start doing some pre-investment into some IPOs, right? There's one called BitPay or something like that. What do you think? But everyone's holding back now their IPO because obviously tech is down in the NASDAQ. So when do you think the IPO market's going to start evolving again?
They're going well, for anything that's related to crypto, they're going to want to launch their project in a bull market.
Okay.
Right, because that's how you get the most value for your company. That's how you're going to have excitement. That's how the price is going to launch very, very fast. And, that's what you want to do. You don't want to launch anything in a bear market. So in crypto, we always say, like, you build in the winter.
Okay.
Because these cycles have continuously happened. Bull market high, bear market low. It's basically off the 4-year cycle, just so you guys understand this. The Bitcoin halving really has determined the price. And of course, right now, that's how it's worked. What does that mean? Every 4 years, through the process of mining, the supply of Bitcoin gets cut in half, which is produced on a daily basis. So these machines that produce Bitcoin right now, by solving transactions on the blockchain, every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin produced daily gets cut in half. So typically when that happens, it starts a bull market for about 24 months. Then we top out, and we have a bear market for about 24 months until the next halving comes. And then
So you're thinking 2024?
So yeah, you're probably going to be in a bull market, 2020, like the high. Yeah, that's how it goes.
Election year too.
Election year.
Yeah.
Always good for
Always.
markets too.
Yeah.
Markets always do good in election
That's
year. So
interesting.
these are like all these things you could look at. It's kind of crazy. It's like kind of conspiracy how Bitcoin was, it was released perfect timing with all this stuff too, right? Like how does this all come together? But it's very interesting. But the whales understand this game and they play it extremely well. Like I could tell most people, you don't need to play the market. You don't need to play the market. Just dollar cost averaging over time. If you believe in an asset, let's say it's in equities, crypto, whatever the case may be, you believe in an asset, dollar cost averaging.
That's
Don't
right.
try to predict the tops and the
No,
bottoms. You're
you
not going to
can't.
be able to do that. So the average person just builds
So
up a
explain,
position.
what is dollar cost average? Because
Yes.
most people don't know
Yeah.
what that is.
So let's just say you work your job. This is a good example. You work your job and you get paid every single Friday, okay? And let's say every Friday you get an extra $100 to play with, right? And typically you'd spend that money at the bar doing something else. But this $100, it doesn't matter if I lose it. It doesn't mean anything to me. I've already paid my bills. I can live my life. Let's say you believe in Bitcoin, just an example, right? You believe in this asset called Bitcoin. You put $100 a week into Bitcoin every single week. And you could actually have it automated today through these exchanges like Coinbase and stuff. They could actually have recurring buys from your bank account.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool. So let's just say you're buying $100 a week of Bitcoin. This is the smartest way to invest. Let's say today Bitcoin's at $20,000, okay? And you bought $100. And next week it's at $10,000 of Bitcoin.
You bought
okay?
$100.
$100. Now your average cost is like $15,000 of Bitcoin. You see how you lower your cost basis and you're building up your position. And I can tell you, especially in a bear market, that's the greatest way to do it because you don't know if this is the bottom.
Yep.
It could go lower, but you also don't know if it is going to go lower.
That's
so you
right.
want to still be putting some capital in. But if it is going lower, you're just averaging out your cost basis, developing your position because you believe long-term the asset's going to be worth a lot more than it is
Exactly.
today.
Yeah, that's very smart.
In
Very
daily
smart.
life, I mean, people really don't have time to sit in front of a computer and watch all this stuff either. So,
No.
getting it automated is brilliant.
I see people all the time, they like, let's say, like, for example, instead of doing that, the person takes the $1,000 that they really don't have to spend at the time, right? Then they buy Bitcoin at 20, and then the next week it's at 10, and they're like, oh my God.
I gotta sell.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're 50% down on our, what are we doing? And then they panic sell
Yeah.
because they put themselves in a position where they weren't ready for that financially. So that's dollar cost averaging is so smart to do.
Yeah. And what do you think of these Vanguard funds and all this?
Yeah, so everything has its role, right? Like diversification's key. Never all your eggs in one basket. With the markets, I think just having different things in different places, different industries specifically, different types of investment vehicles. There's so many different investment vehicles today. There's so many different types of industries. It's not like, there's one industry
Yes.
we're investing into. There's a lot of different things.
And it's so simple now to do it.
It's easier than it's ever been by
It's,
far.
I mean, I know I have an E-Trade account, and they recommend buy this ETF, buy this one, buy this fund, and you don't even have to do any thinking.
No, yeah, there's so many ETFs too. That market has grown so dramatically.
Yes.
Where I like ETFs a lot because you're getting a piece of multiple things between buying one stock ticker, right?
Yes.
And it gives you access to all
Amazon,
these different
Apple, Microsoft.
all these different companies you could get access through this one fund or whatever the case may be. This one ticker.
Is there any crypto ETFs right now?
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. There's probably like 15 or 20 already.
Okay.
Like
Wow.
and some of them have like the biggest companies in crypto, like like a MicroStrategy with Michael Saylor, how they bought Bitcoin. Even though they were a tech company, now they're like a Bitcoin fund because they own over 120,000+
Wow.
Bitcoin. Yeah, like crazy. They took their balance sheet and basically converted dollars to Bitcoin. He's like, I believe Bitcoin's going to depreciate a lot better than U.S. dollars over time. and we're going to take our company's money, which I think they initially had about $500 million in liquid cash just sitting there. And he's like, yo, we don't need all this liquid cash. Let's start buying Bitcoin.
Wow.
And that's what some companies, and he's an innovator. He's early on. Like,
Yes.
that's a ballsy move. Like, you know what I mean? Because this is a new industry. This is something like, most people, you do that with your company, and now you're down because they're down on their investment right now, of course, of where they bought in initially at. But they've been smart somewhat in trying to average out the cost basis as the prices went down. But still, how do you look now to the board? Like, hey, I took these dollars, I put it into this thing called Bitcoin, and now we're down hundreds of millions of dollars.
How do you tell the board to be patient?
Yeah, like, hey, you guys got to work with me, right? But at the end of the day, like, it's a very big risk to do, but he could also be a legend 10 years from now.
Amen.
And you have to take some risk to win big, right?
Yeah.
There's no I'm going to play it so safe and have massive success.
No, you can't.
You can't. No, you could get by playing it safe. You're never going to win big without taking some risk. You got to take some necessary risk to win.
Like Shiba, I mean, our friends invested like $2,000 and made a couple million off Shiba.
Yeah, it's crazy. Meme coins.
Yes.
Meme coin world, right? So, people always ask me about meme coin, especially the millennials, right? Like, they see the Robin Hoods and these platforms and, this meme coin, Doge coins, all this stuff. Everything can go up if people are willing to buy it, right?
That's right.
Doesn't mean it has value, okay? It's just supply and demand, and more buyers and sellers, prices go up and down.
How do you know when to get out?
I always say, when you see these other coins making their all-time highs, you probably should take profits off the table. I always say, you can never go broke taking profits. That's the reality of it. I think, I've made investment decisions definitely where I should have taken more profits off the table, and I've let things ride. And I'm more of a long-term mindset, so it doesn't bother me. And also for tax implications, sometimes I don't even want to sell. I'm like, I'm really paying this much this year. Let's let this thing ride. I don't want to worry about this, right?
Let it ride.
So, and, also you get better tax benefits having longer-term investments compared to shorter-term investments. When it comes to the financial markets, you get, better percentages for longer term. But at the end of the day, I would just say, you got to take profits. You got to take profits. If you double your money, hey, why not take out the initial capital and play with the house money?
That's right.
That's just smart investing.
Talking about the IRS, I'm big into depreciation. So, I own dental practices, and I normally maximize my depreciation 100% in year one because I keep that capital to reinvest. How do you think of that concept? Do you think that's smart, or do you think I should depreciate it in 10 years?
No, there's many strategies, right? And I don't think anything's perfectly right or perfectly wrong. There's a lot of different ways, and it depends what type of business and what it potentially can do. But yeah, you got to be smart when it comes to tax implications. A lot of people think
they go and get a Lamborghini.
Yeah. A lot of people think it's you make a lot of money and you got no problems. There's a lot of other when you start making money, there's a lot of other things you got to start thinking about, right?
Right.
There's a lot of things that the average person, I'm talking to some guys, new sales guys, young guys, 18, 19, coming in, they want to be sales guys and they want to make money and stuff, and they have no clue. They never had to do all. I'm like, yo, I got to do this today. That. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah. When you make money, you got to do all these things.
You got to do a lot of things.
There's a lot of things going on in your life when you start making some money. So
it's like Biggie says, more money, more problems.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And sometimes we'd say those problems are good to have, right? I could tell you there's a lot of problems in the world, but not having money is a pretty big one. So
That's a big one.
So I would say, rather have money than not have money, but also understand with money comes a lot of other things you have to deal with.
A lot of other things.
Responsibilities.
I'm going to throw a little curveball at you right now. And
here we go.
So, how being a young entrepreneur and being so successful and traveling the world, how do you find time for that family balance?
Yeah,
and time for yourself and time to be at peace.
Yeah, so it's hard. For sure. I always say you have to be obsessed with what you do to have massive success. You have to be obsessed.
Okay.
There's no such thing as balance in life. I'm just going to be real with you guys. There's no such thing as balance. Eventually.
Those liars.
Yeah, there's a lot of liars out there. No such thing as balance. You go all in, you work your butt off, you accomplish big things. Maybe eventually you retire, and that's how your life changes. But when you're in the heat of it, there's no balance.
There's no balance.
No. You're a professional athlete. You're not going to the gym every day and working out and doing no, you got to do that to keep your body, and a professional athlete, maybe their lifespan is 5, 10, 15 years for the greatest ones, right? So at the end of the day, there's a time window. See, for me, I looked at my life, I got involved in entrepreneurship, sales, stuff like that when I was 18 years old. And I said, you know what? It would be cool if I work extremely hard right now and I sacrifice a lot of stuff. Like a lot of my friends at that time, of course, young guys, partying, girls, a lot of stuff that they're doing at that time. I'm like, yo, I'm going all in with business. So by 30 years old, I don't have to worry about money. That was my concept. So, a lot of people tell their kids, go to college, have the best 4 years of your life, and then they hate the next 40, right? That's the reality of it.
That's real.
It's like me, I was like, I'm going to work really hard now. And at 30, you're still pretty young, right?
Yeah.
30 years old, you're a pretty young person. Wouldn't it be cool that I could do whatever I want at 30 years old?
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so that was my philosophy. But, these philosophies aren't taught to kids.
Correct.
These philosophies aren't taught. These are different things. And you have to think a little different to win big. So I could just tell you, like, I was willing to put in the time now to have the time later. That was my philosophy. So
how do you get these young people to understand, like, and I'm not trying to say college is a bad thing.
No,
We went to college, stuff like that. But how do you understand, like, listen, that's not the direction maybe you should be going,
Yeah, so let's be real here. Just looking at college in general, right? 30, 40 years ago, if you had a college degree, that was like, whoa, you had a college degree. Everyone I went to high school with has a college degree.
That's right.
There's a lot of idiots with college degrees, right? Let's be real here, okay? Every idiot in the world's got a college degree today. So what happens? They depreciated the value of a college degree.
Yeah.
The more people that have it, the less valuable it becomes worth. You come in for a job today and you got the same degree as 40 other people. Do I have to pay you a lot of money? Not at all. You're not special. You're like everyone else. So my opinion is, like, if you're not going to be a doctor or a lawyer or go for some, real degree.
I agree 100%.
Like, what's the purpose? Like, you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a job paying $40,000 a year?
Yep.
How long is that going to take to pay that student loan?
How much is my monthly student loan payment? What? It's a racket.
Literally. And it's just crazy to me.
I think even these big companies, what they want is experience. Because at 18 years old, I was in sales. I was going to college part-time. 18 years old, I was sales. My buddy graduated at 21, and he was making less money than I was at 18 just because of my sales experience.
Yep.
And he had a computer science degree. So, it's all about experience in that resume.
And I would say at the end of the day, your network's everything.
That's right.
So it's like, you could be the smartest guy in the room. Doesn't mean you're going to make any money.
I think it does go back to.
It doesn't matter.
True.
Well, I think it does go back to building the relationships.
Relationships,
are you a strong builder of relationships? I will hire you. It doesn't make a difference, like, what your background is, but if I really sense that you can develop that stuff and develop that network, why not?
Oh, if you could find someone that has experience in the industry that you're looking for.
That's a win. That's a bonus.
Someone who's hungry, someone who's got ambition. Like, I've seen people who, like, if you've seen them 5 years ago, if you met this guy today, you'd be like, wow, this guy's polished. I met him 5 years ago, and you're like, I don't know if this guy's going to be able to make it, right? Like, I don't know if he's got it in him, right?
That's right.
But at the end of the day, people will develop over time. And, the wealthiest people in the world are entrepreneurs. Yep. That's just the reality of it. People that create things that have people
and they believe
work for
in
them.
themselves.
Yep.
Yeah, they think differently. They do think differently.
I've honestly been knocked down by friends, family, everyone telling me you can't do it, you're not smart enough. And, I'm not the most successful guy, but I think I've done pretty well.
Oh, you've done pretty well.
I've done pretty well. But, I always believed in myself, and I always thought that I can never give up.
And I always tell people, you got to believe in you before others believe
That's
in you.
right.
Right? Like, if you don't believe in yourself, trust me, you ain't going to lead a movement. You're not going to run a company.
Absolutely.
You're not going to be able to do that unless you have that confidence and that posture within you. And I think, a lot of it comes from experience. A lot of it comes from doing it consistently. Like, first time I ever held a meeting, right? Spoke on stage. Of course, you're nervous to speak on stage, right? You don't know what to do, and people say that all the time. Oh, I can't get in front of people. Yeah, of course, you've never been in front of people. You do it every single day. I could go in front of 20,000 people right now. It's like, hey, I'm hanging out with my best friends because this is what I do, right?
That's the exact reason why you should get in front of people.
Yeah. So the sooner you face your fears, the sooner you're going to accomplish things. Yeah.
Like, I want to go skydiving. I've always been fearful of skydiving, so
I'm a little fearful of that one for sure. I don't know about jumping out of a perfectly good plane, right?
Wait a minute. Can we make sure the insurance is current on that?
That's all taken care of. So, yeah, you like you just say, you got to eliminate your fears, and you got to be uncomfortable.
Yep.
I remember speaking in front of 20 people, and, I just spoke in front of 200, and it's still uncomfortable. Yep. But it's going to take time, like you said.
The more you do it, like, you just become, like, it just becomes, like, what you do. And it's anything in life.
But let me ask you a question. So we have a big challenge right now with, this new generation. You're 26 years old, very successful. How do you feel that we should motivate people are your age or in their 30s that don't want to show up to work or don't want to be there anymore?
It's hard. It's a very hard thing to deal with, for sure. I think you have to push the right buttons on certain people. You got to find what makes them go. Some people are money driven. Okay, that's just factual. Some people are purpose driven. Some people are like family team oriented. I have people in my business who are literally, they're not there. Like, they have plenty of money. They've owned other businesses, but they just like being around the people. Yeah. Like, you got to figure out, each person's different, and you got to figure out what makes them go. Like, I know guys in my sales business who are like, yo, if I give this guy this job and he can make he's going to go get this thing done. And then I know I know the people on my team like, hey, I'm going to send you to the charity event today. You're going to be really good at that because they like helping out other people and giving back. Like, that's it. There's a few ladies in my business. I'm like, okay, these three, this is what they're the best at. They love helping other people. Like, this is what they do. And trust me, like, you want a charity event? These three can put it on. Like, you'll be like, okay, they're there and they're going to do a great job. So you have to understand, like, what people's purpose is.
Yeah, not everyone's driven by money.
Not everyone. Everyone's got a different calling. You know, some people want to be someone like me or you and build businesses and be an entrepreneur and stuff like that. Some people are just happy to be a part of it. Yeah. Like, hey, I want to, work at the office and do this. Like, that's what they want to do, and that's their purpose.
Exactly.
And I think it's difficult sometimes for the entrepreneur to recognize that.
They can't because they think so different. Yes, that is the hardest part. Yeah. What you just said, you hit it on the head because you think everyone wants to think like you.
Correct.
But they don't.
They don't.
And there's only a few that ever think like you. That's why a few people control the whole world.
That's right.
That's how the world works, right? So it's like you got to be able to identify, okay, purpose of this person, what they really want. I know some people in my business, they just want to do a side sales job on top of their job. If they can make an extra $500 a month, they're like, we're happy. This is the greatest thing in the world. Now my family, let's say I'm a teacher, I get an extra $500 a month. That's maybe a nicer car for our family, maybe a couple vacations a year. Yeah. Like, we could start doing things, and that's completely changes their life. But that's what they want, right? Exactly. So you have to identify what they want.
So, like, speaking of, like, world domination, we got to end this thing. So what's your go-to? Like, what's your go-to motto? What do you just wake up and you say, okay, I'm going to look myself in the mirror, and this is exactly what I'm going to tell myself, and I'm just going to destroy life today?
Yeah, so for me, like, I always say your why has to drive you, like your purpose behind your life. And we always say your why, initially when you start in business, it could be, hey, I want time and financial freedom. I want to retire my mom. I want to give back to my family.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to have some purpose behind what you're doing. But I always say your why has to continuously evolve. Because what happens when you accomplish what you want? Like, when I was 18, I accomplished what I wanted by 21. Like, that goal had to completely change of what I wanted to do. Like, today, my purpose is helping other people.
Nice.
I want to show people, like, you can do this. I started with $200 and a dream, and I turned it into what I have now.
Exactly.
I can do this. Anyone can do this. Not saying everyone will do this, right? Because you got to be willing to work and do the things you got to do. But it is possible. And I like showing people that. I also, with the business that we're currently working with, the iGenius subscription model with the education and everything, that company's already went public. We're a penny stock. We're OTC stock right now. But we're looking to get that company on the NASDAQ in the next 12 to 24 months. So that's like a big
What's
thing.
the stock symbol?
So INVU.
INVU.
Yeah, so
I envy you, everyone.
Yeah, I envy you.
I personally own it.
I envy you.
I
envy you.
So we have a lot of things going with that. And one of my goals is to make this business massively successful. It's one of the multiple entities that the public company owns. But getting on the NASDAQ, that's a good goal to be working towards right now. And there's many other things in life. But I could just tell you, probably my two biggest is like just creating something special, creating something that's different. People like just doing it, right?
Getting
people
it done.
say it's like, yo, you can't be done. Well, we're gonna make it happen. And then also showing people like they can do it as well.
Well, Anthony, thank you so much. It's been a privilege having you here today,
yes,
man.
It has, absolutely.
We can talk for days.
We can sit here for
I want to have you back
next week. Our team is like, man, I was going to say, our team is like, can you guys wrap it up? Can you guys wrap it up?
So you guys got to check them out, AnthonyNapolitano.com.
Yep.
Any lasting message to everyone?
No, guys, I would just say, like, go for it. Go for it. You have to make it happen. Others aren't going to make it happen, so you got to make it happen. That's your life. Take control of your future. Take control of your dreams, your goals, your wants, your desires, your needs, whatever the case may be, and stay consistent with it because most people aren't willing to put in consistent activity, and success doesn't happen overnight.
That's right.
Like, you could, your journey of entrepreneurship. Yep. I know mine. You know your journey as in, being in business. Your success, it's not like I start and I win. No,
It never
you
happens that
start,
way.
You struggle, you learn, you develop, but if you stay consistent over a long enough period of time, good things will come, and that's just my tip for you.
Consistency.
Consistency.
Consistency. Yep.
Thanks again, my man.
All right,
I
bro.
appreciate
Pleasure,
you.
guys.
I appreciate it.